So, considering the fact that this is your first time at Kustendorf Film Festival, how do you like the town built by Emir and about festival itself?
Well, the first thing that I saw was, of course, when we were coming in with the helicopter and we were landing on that helicopter spot, and there was like a wall of journalists waiting. So it was a surreal feeling to come to this place. But it's located on a little hill that is like in a valley. So the sun was like shining on this little spot in a very beautiful way. So that was the first thing I saw of it. And that was fantastic, of course. But it's built like a hotel complex with different parts, and everyone you meet here is here for the film festival in some way. So it creates a very generous and yeah, how to say, friendly feeling to it. I also love to meet people that come from Eastern Europe, really, that is interested in film, because I've been now so much in the US, and they are completely in this Anglo-Saxon way of looking at art, and there's a different attitude to that here, and that's just liberating, I would say.
Okay, seeing your movie Skver, I had to ask you what could find its place as a museum installment as a part of the exhibition of the first 2 decades of the 21st century?
I don't know, but you know, I think in some way it had to be about media. Because I think that we are really in a media crisis. You know, we have had like press ethical rules before, where the journalists really have been critical to their own work, but suddenly it have happened something, and it's like all journalists are completely alone. They can't organize themselves together and say, we don't accept this kind of journalism, because everything have been pushed to a certain point where it's only about a click economy. And it's not about content anymore. And I think that is really scary, how do you say, development. Because my daughters are going to be brought up in this kind of media climate where no one takes responsibility of the content anymore. And everybody is just blaming on, yeah, we are under economical pressure and I have to produce these kind of things, otherwise I will lose my job. And the big media companies that have the possibility to get the images out to a broader audience, they don't take any responsibility at all. So it had to be something about that. I don't know in which way to present it, but I think that's one of the most scary things about our time.
Okay, yeah, you write scripts and direct your films.
Yes.
Does the plot you write, story, stays in its integral version, or does it change when filming? Do you have to make some adjustments to it when transferring into another art, from written to movie?
I think it's an exception from the rule when actually a script is 100% like it was in a written form, and when it comes to the shooting. You're all constantly changing things. And very often when you have written something and you start to shoot it, then you realize, oh my God, I was completely wrong. I thought it would be easy to do it in this way. And then you understand it's something with the setup of the scene that doesn't work really, and you have to re-evaluate and try to find a way. So this happens all the time. But I think that the most important thing is that you know what you're aiming for with every scene. You know what is the core of the scene and what is that you are interested in the scene. If you don't know that, then you will be lost, of course. But if you know that, then you have the ability of re-evaluating and changing things, because you know what you're aiming for. You're aiming to like express just exactly this part in the strongest possible way. But that's really something that is important for me, since I'm also writing my own script, that I don't feel that I have to be nice to someone that I'm sitting down and write this, because I'm only being harsh to myself, so to speak. But it's something that also is happening during the editing. I mean, then you also edit in a different way than you were thinking, and maybe changing the structure of the scene.
Okay. So your movie Tourist was submitted by your country for the Academy Awards for Best Foreign Movie. Mm-hmm. After it was shortlisted, it wasn't nominated, and you made a movie about
yes.
This. Can we know what happens in the movie and what's the name of the movie?
Well, it's a YouTube clip that is called Blonde. No, sorry, no, I'm mixing it up. It's a YouTube clip that is called Swedish Director Freaks Out When He Misses Out on Oscar Nomination. And it's actually filmed with the photo boat camera on a computer, when me and the producer, we are watching the announcement that is live streamed. And they are going down from 9 films to 5 films. And we were on the short list. So we are hoping to be one of the 5 films. And we are actually pretty sure that when we are like looking at that announcement, that we will be one of the 5 films. It's almost like we have opened a champagne bottle already, you know. And then when they are starting to read up the list, you quite quickly understand they are supposed to read it in an alphabetic order. And now force majeure have not been announced. And then we realize we are not on the list. And the film is our reactions after we realize we will not be Oscar nominated. And I can say a little bit, okay, the first part when we are looking at the announcement is just documentary, it's just filmed when it happened. But then when I leave the screen, then I start screaming and I completely crying and things like that. That part is actually fictionalized. That's something that we recorded afterwards. And it's a little bit inspired of a scene in Force Majeure, in Tourist, that is called Worst Man Cry Ever. And there's a fantastic dialogue line in it, just to make you curious then, when Eric says, don't undress, Ruben. But we got a lot of attention for it. It was a lot of fun to release it.
Okay. And of course, what do you think about the Oscars? Does the Oscar have the same impact on the world movie industry like it had 4 years ago, or it becomes only a political weapon or a political prize? Some directors claim that Oscars are the way for political statements.
I mean, I think it always have been like that. I think always these prizes have been partly something that is about a political statement. I think that if they're asking for that the prize should go like to cinema quality, yeah, then point out for me what quality is. It's very hard to define what quality is. But I think that all the films that are like nominated for the Oscars, or the films that are in Kanu, for example, there's a craftsmanship there behind those films that takes hours and hours to learn. So that is quality for me. You know, that people know how to use their tools and things like that. Yeah, I mean, the Oscars is like the idea about the cinema industry from a very glamorous perspective, like all this red carpet and these nice dresses and things like that. It's good because it draws some attention to the films, but seriously, it's what do you say? It's a charade. It's a fiction created by in the way that I've been running this Oscars thing. But I think that the value of the prize in other people that are outside the cinema industry, it's better than a Nobel Prize to win an Oscar, you know? It's kind of interesting.
Okay, it was announced that you're making a new movie, The Triangle of Sadness.
Yes.
Sorry. Can you tell us, what do you think of that entire fashion or modeling industry? And does it bring us, is it more useful or damaging to society?
Now I have to talk also, since my wife is a fashion photographer, so, but maybe we have little different thoughts about it. No, but I think that...
We won't show her.
One thing about the fashion industry, that is, of course, since it is in a capitalistic system, is that it's trying to make us feel that we have to buy these clothes. And in order to make us buy some clothes, it's very efficient if it makes the consumer insecure. So if I feel insecure, then I have to buy this sweater in order to fit into that group. And that is about herd mentality. This is about like human behavior, basically. And I think it's so interesting and ironical to watch how the advertisement is working for fashion industry. If you have like a cheaper fashion, like H&M or something like that, then all the models are smiling and they're saying on the images, you know, they're saying, ah, come to us, welcome. And then the more expensive the brand gets, the more the models are looking down at the consumer and like, you don't belong here, you know, trying to create that feeling of this is an exclusive group. So it's almost like it's a distillation of the capitalistic system in some way. You know, when looks becomes like an economical value and you are really trying to create a hierarchy. So in order to make people insecure and to make us be better consumers. But one thing that I think is important when you approach an industry like this is that it's not the people that are dealing with the industry that is cynical. It's the system that is cynical. It's the system that they are dealing with that is creating their behavior. So that would definitely be one of the goals with the film, to approach this industry without portraying the people as cynical.
Okay. In your movies, you tend to deal with every subject through the prism of sociology and with a certain dose of humor. Is the humor, in your case, only a tool for making the movie, or is it a defense mechanism too?
Maybe it's a defense mechanism too. I have never thought about it in that way, but I think that the scenes that are in the films are scenes that I think is hilarious at the same time that they are scary. They almost always have a kind of ambivalent feeling in it. At one moment they can be funny, but in the next moment they can be horrifying. And the reason that I like scenes like that is because then the audience have to, you know, decide themselves, what do I think? So it's a way of trying to create an active audience, to make the audience reflect on what they are looking at. Not like these kind of entertainment industry product that is just like you are sitting there and you don't have to think at all when you're watching it. It's just like relaxation. And so it's the opposite of that. But the humor, I think, is important, because if you only are making a art house movie that is very gray and slow, you know, it doesn't create that many thoughts. But if you have a bigger spectra, a wider spectra of the expression, then yeah, the experience gets so much richer, and it also activates me as an audience, I would say.
You said that the art is hard to satirize. So what do you think to satirize?
No, it's easy to. It's very easy to make satire about art, I would say.
Oh, so this isn't true, what I found.
Yeah, but you can ask the question then.
Okay, well, what do you think? Did any artist succeed in satirizing the art itself?
Yes, of course. But actually, yeah, then I have to start that I think it's quite easy to satirize art. And some people have said that it's like, how do you say, hitting in open doors to satirize art. Because art actually quite often satirizes itself. And you know, if you look at all these museums that have this white cube thing when it comes to contemporary art museums, and you have a couple of objects on the floor, and you have a neon sign on the wall saying something, it's like a convention repeating itself over and over again. And it doesn't matter if I'm at MoMA or if I'm in Milano or probably here in Belgrade. I've never been to the Contemporary Art Museum here. But it's the same kind of object very often. And the audience is like walking around there trying to look at these art pieces, and you see they're not really connected. And the art pieces is not connected to the world outside the walls. And what I think is about the art industry or the art world is that it has a lot of great things, of course, but it's also becoming more and more like interior design for rich people. And that we have to fight against, I think.
I agree. Did you watch any Serbian movie? And if you did, what would be some of your favorites?
Well, even if we are at Emir Kusturica's festival, I have to say Emir's movies. yeah, they really made, how would you say, a mark in me when I was younger and watched them. And you still have them in your mind because he also has such a unique temperament and a unique point of view at things. And I saw them in a certain age and were like shocked about how chaotic and wild and crazy he managed to portray the world. And it is interesting with movies because at the same time that he has a very humanistic message, I think, in all his movies, they also create prejudice, you know. So when I'm thinking about Serbia, and the only movies I have seen is the Costa Rica movies, it's also, how is Serbia? Then I'm thinking through like his movies. And that is something that we have to be aware of. I think this is about me. It's not about his movies. I think, but this is how prejudice are created. I really would like to watch more Serbian movies to widen that spectrum. And of course, I realize that this is not the way the world is looking or how Serbia is like. But yeah, Emil Costa Rica is like the movies I've seen. Okay, do you have any to recommend?
And the final, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I recommend you many of Serbian movies.
Okay.
They're really great. And the final question is, what do you think, how important is the legacy of Emil Kusturica to the history of European and the world movie?
The legacy of Emil Costa Rica? Yeah. But I think it's, yeah, no, but if you just think about it and you take away the movies that he have made and you're trying to imagine the history, film history of Europe, it would feel less rich. It would feel like something is missing. And in the same way, if you took away Michael Haneke, it would be like something is missing. The film expression is not rich enough. So, of course, also when he have been successful in such a long time, he also becomes part of like an institution almost. And yeah, I think it's hard to talk about what would happen if you would erase that. But of course, it would feel so less rich.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.